If you live in Newberg, there's a good chance you've heard about the Newberg Downtown Collision. But if you're like me, there's also a good chance that you might not have had a solid understanding of what the Downtown Collision is, its history, its role in Newberg, and how it functions as a part of the stable table, which you'll learn about what that means in the episode. So today I'm talking to Aubrey Nichols, who is the executive director of the Newberg Downtown Collision, and we'll be discussing these questions while also maybe just having a little bit too much fun. Hi, I'm Daniel Roberts. I'm a local realtor in Newberg. I'm a member of the Newberg Noon Rotary Club. I'm an ambassador for our local Chamber of Commerce, and I also have a separate YouTube channel about many of the real estate related aspects of this town. I love this town. I love helping people move here, and I really love sharing stories about all of the great organizations and individuals who make this town the great place that it is. And that's really the heart and soul of this podcast, to share stories that inspire people in Newberg and the surrounding areas to really be even more inspired, to get involved and ultimately have hope for our future, because I do believe that there is hope for our future. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Aubrey as we discuss the Newberg Downtown Collision. Well, Aubrey, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm looking forward to today's episode. I can already tell we're going to have a lot of fun. So how was your day today?
It was good. It was, a typical day.
First question ever. What do you expect me to do?
What do I do? No, today was a typical day in my life and in Newberg. I bounced around between a bunch of different obligations, from the NDC office to my kids' school, volunteering there, and now I'm here with you.
Now, all of you owners, and this wasn't really a part of it, but all you owners at Honey Pie seem like you do like 1,000 things. Like you're all like in competition with each other, like who can do the most, who could be the most like.
Yeah, we actually have a bulletin board and all of our lists. No, we the four of us bought Honey Pie, my husband Alex and I, and then Sarah and Bubba King. We bought it really as a launching point for us to really have a
good money laundering scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. Clean money, mostly. Pizza. No, we wanted to be more involved in Newberg, and we knew that we would be involved through our children in the schools, but we wanted to be involved more in the business scene. And it really just sort of launched us onto this path where all four of us are now involved in different aspects of city life. Perhaps we say yes to too many projects, but we're having a really good time. We're honored to be able to, do the work and show up.
Well, I think we all appreciate it because you guys, I think like the four of you do more than like a good chunk of the rest of the people. So one of those things is the Newberg Downtown Collision, and we'll be talking about that today.
Yeah.
So could you just start with like, what is the Downtown Collision? Because like I think most people have heard about it, but maybe you're like, I don't really know what that is or what. What its function is.
So NDC, so the Newberg Downtown Coalition, is a nonprofit organization, and we support economic development in the downtown core. The downtown core we define as where 99 splits to where it comes back together. If you're driving over downtown,
both sides.
On both sides, and then a block off of that. And then we also include what we call the civic corridor, which is from the cultural center down through the library, past City Hall, then past the fire station, police station, and Memorial Park.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a bit of a cross.
Okay.
So our whole goal is to improve downtown Newberg, and to make it a place where people want to live, where people want to visit, where people want to invest, where people want to do work. So we do events. We're in charge of the Wednesday market and First Friday Art Walk, things like that. We also do sort of business support. So we're often a liaison between individual businesses and the city of Newberg. And we do projects like a cleanup project that I can tell you about that's coming up this month, or in May, I guess.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So how did it get started? Or has this always been since Newberg was, I know it's not true.
No.
How did it start?
I am, I'm fairly new to the organization, but my understanding is that they started in the early 80s, that there was a Downtown Newberg Revitalization Committee. There was a Downtown Newberg Association, and eventually it became the Newberg Downtown Coalition. They are tied to the Main Street Group. So Main Street America is sort of this overarching organization, and then there's Oregon Main Street. And Oregon Main Street is a government-run group that receives funding through, Oregon Parks and Oregon Historical Society and things like that.
Okay.
So there is a tie-in with that overarching group. And I believe that tie-in is when we became the actual Downtown Coalition, as we are now.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, what's the main, you kind of shared like what you do, but I mean, I think a lot of those things seem like kind of nebulous in some ways. Like how does
it all connect?
Connect and
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We picture it as sort of our three main areas are these physical improvements, the business support, and the community events. And it's basically thinking about our downtown core and what can be done to just support that from all angles. Because if we're going to have thriving businesses, we need to have beautiful infrastructure. If we're going to have tourism come, we need to have businesses that can offer to them. And if we want this to be, a walkable, lovely downtown, we need to keep promoting that and hosting events that invite locals and tourists alike.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of looking at all the angles of what does a thriving downtown core mean, and then what can we do to support that. I think what is unique about NDC is that we have one employee, who is myself, and everything else is volunteer-led.
Oh, wow.
So our board has 11 members. They are all volunteers. Many of them have been in Newberg and working in Newberg for decades. They have an incredible wealth of knowledge to them. And then all of our events are, we rope a lot of our friends into helping us, but we try to get as many volunteers as we can to really support downtown.
Yeah. So how do you guys overlap or interact, I guess, with other organizations? So there's like Taste Newberg,
Yep.
There's the Chamber of Commerce, There's City of Newberg itself, there's different clubs or organizations who do things.
Yeah.
So do you guys have like a periodic meeting where you all get together and talk?
We do. And this was one of the biggest pieces, I think, for me learning going into this position, but also as a business owner in Newberg. You hear about Taste, you hear about Chamber, NDC, and for a while I thought, are all these groups like competing with each other? What's the deal here? So I've learned that we do not compete with each other at all. In fact, we meet once a month. In our meeting, we call it Stable Table because there are the four entities being NDC, Taste, Chamber, and City of Newberg.
Oh, so I got it right.
Yep. That's us. That's the four. And we really it's been really exciting because we're supporting each other in ways that I think are fairly new to the organizations. They all three, Chamber, Taste, and NDC, have all come into new leadership in the last 2-3 years. So there's a crew of us that are really excited about working together.
What this seemed like, because you got Scott,
Yep.
you got Willworthy,
Yeah.
and
then Lee at Taste. And so everyone is,
still waiting to have you on here, Lee. So if you're listening,
come on, Lee.
I need to have you on it. You're the fourth part of the Stable Table.
Yes,
But
we need the fourth leg of the table.
I need to interview Scott again too, because when he first came on, I was like, he'd just started. So
Yeah.
it sounds like a fun group.
It is a really fun group, and we are we're doing Tunes on Tuesday together, which is exciting. So we're bringing Tunes on
So
Tuesday.
you're all four.
All four of us are presenting tunes.
Sounds like it's probably a better fit than, because it was Young Pros.
Yeah.
And I know there's a whole history there. We don't necessarily have to
Yep.
get in. But it seems like a much more logical, I guess.
Yeah, it
like
is.
having like four people that are all like integrated right there.
Yeah, we're all kind of in it. It's great to partner with the city on it because they obviously provide things like the road closures, and getting Public Works to help us out is awesome. So it's sort of natural to invite the city to be involved. Taste Newberg is the tourism agency. They do travel information. They do huge events. They're great for getting the word out outside of Newberg. And then Chamber just has every contact you could ever imagine for, whoever we need to get for lighting, for sound, for vendors and things like that. And we at NDC, we work really closely with the Cultural Center and with CPRD on many of our events. And so having tunes there on the, front porch of the cultural center. Just, it makes sense to have us all present it. So it's been really fun to work together, get those 4 groups on board. I think we have a really good working relationship right now, and I think we're going to keep going and do even bigger and better things together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So and I think it's nice too when there is new leadership, because they're fresh. So they're like, okay, let's start from the ground up.
Right.
There's not like this legacy of like things have always been done this way and they always will be.
Yep. We do a fair bit of that in Newberg. That's one of our favorite pastimes here, I think.
Yeah. Let's see how we can do more of this. No, just kidding. I love Newberg. Sorry for any of you thinks that way. But so I guess one of the questions I had too is, for a business that's in that downtown area, what does it look like for them to be involved? Like, is it an opt-in, or they're just automatically, if you're there, you're part of the Downtown Coalition? Like, what does that look like?
Sure. So the Downtown Coalition, being a nonprofit, is not a member-driven organization.
Right.
So there's no requirement to pay dues or anything like that. We ask for membership donations from businesses in our area.
Okay.
That businesses can choose to participate in or not. And in fact, last year was the first year that we asked for dues in, I think, 2 or 3 years. We basically did not ask for all of COVID. We did not go to businesses and ask for funding.
So they're allowed to, but so they're not dues.
They're not dues. I should.
But they're
dues. Yeah, we call it a membership donation.
It's like, do you?
Yeah. What do you want here to like top list? No, it's, regardless of whether or not a downtown business pays a membership donation, they will still benefit from NDC and what we do. For example, we are doing a downtown cleanup on May 7th, and we will be cleaning the sidewalks throughout downtown Newberg, power washing the sidewalks. We would never skip a business because we didn't receive a donation from them.
Wait. They send it? No.
Sorry. Honey Pie did not pay. We will not be checking. No, Honey Pie pays. So we love to have our businesses that are in our downtown core donate to the cause, but we also are a nonprofit that is guided by our geographic sort of map, and we will serve everyone in that area equally.
Okay. Yeah. So do any of the other, and how many businesses are there? Do you know, like, have a number of, like, how many people are within there?
We've done a bunch of counts, and in fact, right now we are doing a downtown business inventory because things have changed so much in the last 6 months or so.
This database is cleaning up, and
yes.
Is it like a spreadsheet? Because I don't think you have like a full whole system, and it's nice and clean.
No, that would be nice if we had that. No, I have a really advanced Google form that I send out to people. Okay. So we're just working on a spreadsheet right now, but for upwards in like the 50, 60 registered entities here in the downtown area, and a few, private residents that actually fit within our zone.
Right, because you have people that live above the head. So wait, does everyone who lives like a block off of that, are they, even though if they're not a business, do they count?
They count, but we don't do a whole lot to support private homes.
Sure.
But if they're on the block and I'm sweeping that whole block, I'm going to sweep the sidewalk too.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that I've always wondered, and I guess I'll ask this first and then get to that. What does it look like? Like, do they have any say in like what happens, or is it just kind of like they're there and NDC does its thing, or is there like input like, hey, let's all there's like the stable table, and then is there like, okay, for 50 or 60 businesses, is there opportunity for them to like meet and get together and say like, hey, what do we want the downtown to look like? That kind of thing.
Yeah, there's been a that's a big word that it's not coming out currently.
Reinvigorization?
I think you struggled with it as well.
I'm used to making plugs on this podcast.
Yeah, I think, we're still coming out of that downtown COVID phase. There's still businesses that are still recovering. And we recently have an uptick in businesses that want to get back into that, hey, everybody, let's meet and actually talk. For us, that was our merchant group in years past. The merchant group typically is any customer-facing business downtown. So most of your boutiques and your restaurants and things like that. They've just now started to get going again and are planning some get-togethers. But in that we haven't had as many of those in-person meetings with all of the business owners, we still do communicate with them all. So we regularly send out surveys in communications and our monthly newsletter and things like that just to get their opinions. One of the things that we are working on right now is NDC is working closely with the city of Newberg on a downtown parking study. Parking is a hot topic in downtown Newberg. You will meet people who say that we have a parking problem and that there is not enough parking. And you'll meet an equal amount of people who will say that we have plenty of parking and it is not.
Where you're parking.
Yep. And whether or not you're willing to walk a block or two in the rain. So,
yeah.
But we have
no street front parking. I'm out.
I will not attend. Yep. And we have the big Second Street lot.
It's a good excuse if you're late. I'm trying to find parking.
Like, parking is a nightmare here in Newberg.
You're walking out your door.
You're done. But yeah, so we're doing the parking study right now. So that will include a ton of public outreach. So that one we will be...
Is it outrage?
Outreach. Both. D, all of the above. So we will be talking to all the businesses. We'll also be talking to the residents in the downtown core because parking really affects them and their lives. And then City of Newberg has hired a engineer to come out and do a parking study. They will inventory every parking place in town and come up with recommendations. The last parking study was done in 2016. So it's been a long time. Yeah, it's a different world entirely. So we're excited to see, what their recommendations are. Ultimately, it will be largely up to the city what happens with that. But we are really happy to collaborate and to help move that process along.
Okay. I hear all kinds of things about like what's going to happen with the downtown, like when the bypass comes in.
Yeah.
I just kind of thought of that. Is that NDC or is that completely okay?
Yeah.
So some people talked about like one lane turning into like walking and it'll be driving, and I was like, this.
Oh no! I mean, those are, as far as I know, those are all dreams at this point.
Okay.
NDC will absolutely be involved in those conversations. In official capacities, we are, mostly on a committee for the city. Obviously, those things we don't have.
Because that's ultimately a city council decision?
Yeah, that would be like city planning, city council.
Yeah.
The issues surrounding that is that 99 is an ODOT road. Okay. So where 99 comes through town, that is ODOT's jurisdiction. Yeah. City of Newberg can't touch it. They can't change how 99 flows.
Yeah.
There's restrictions on... NDC would really like to hang a really beautiful Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays banner across 99 with lights. We can't do it because it's an ODOT highway.
Really? Okay.
So there's restrictions. That doesn't mean it's all impossible. I think that there is a possibility that someday City of Newberg could take control of at least that portion of 99.
Yeah.
And those conversations will start in earnest once the bypass is fully complete.
Okay. ODOT is like this big nebulous name, but there's like someone or like some committee, right, of people who are in charge of that, who would be the people who would say like yes or no. Do we know who those people are? Or is it just
City of Newberg? It's city engineers and city planning.
No, I mean like ODOT.
Oh, the actual human beings at ODOT?
Like, because I think they're run by human beings, right?
It's like a very nebulous entity as I've experienced thus far. I would love to meet whatever human. If you are listening, human being in charge of ODOT, come and find us. Yeah. We'll take you to coffee.
I'll take your call too.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of things I would have questions about. So one of the other things is people always ask about. There's obviously differing opinions of how Newberg should look. Should it be where you can see through the panel boards on the side of a building, or should it be updated and modern and that kind of thing? How much of that is NDC? Like whoever that owns that property, they get to do whatever they want.
Yeah. For me personally, as a resident of Newberg, I love historic downtown. NDC supports historic downtown Newberg. So we do have a significant interest in keeping historical buildings historical. But I don't think anyone would ever deny that a historical building should be upgraded to withstand, modern times. Yeah. One of the things that is really great about Oregon Main Street and their organization is that they have a lot of grant money that is provided to renovate or restore historic areas.
Okay.
And so NDC can apply for those funds on behalf of building owners. So an example of that would be, the chapters with their reface. That was a Oregon historical grant.
Okay.
So there were certain specifications to chapters redoing the facade there that it had to kind of meet historical standards. But obviously they did it in, a manner that is modern. They didn't use, lath and plaster on it. They used modern things.
But I think that's like a great example.
Yeah.
It looks great.
It looks great, but it functions. Right. It's not crumbling. Another really exciting one that is coming up is the Cameo Theater. They received a grant for new chairs, which if you've ever sat in the movie theater there, they're a little squeaky, a little worn in. And so he's gotten beautiful chairs. It took a long time for them to arrive. And right now he is fabricating sort of a historically accurate way for these new chairs to attach to the end pieces on the rows, since those are this like Art Deco style that he wants to maintain.
Wait, say that again? I'm not sure.
So the chairs, the like theater chairs, they've arrived.
Yes.
They were missing out there in the ether for months and months. It took forever to get these chairs to arrive in Newberg. They've arrived. We've unloaded them. They're at the Cameo. They're going to be replaced in the theater. But if you go to the theater, at the end of each row of chairs, there are these beautiful Art Deco-y sort of end caps to each row.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we've got to figure out a way to get them on there. But those are just, funds that are available. The NDC kind of helps funnel those to the right people. And then, you can maintain that historic charm, but with modern accoutrements.
So are there certain buildings where like, this building could really use some help? And the owners, like there's one building, I'm not sure if I should say which one it is, but there's a thread in either the Newberg community discussions page or like there's something there. Someone's like, who owns this? And there's like all these like rumors of like,
oh yeah,
who owned this property?
Yep.
Ranging from it's owned by the Illuminati to
absolutely,
Bart Simpson. Whoever.
Yep. Yeah.
So like certain buildings
need help,
but they have to be the one who applies for the grant.
They have to be the one to initiate
installing.
Yeah. I mean, we can't come in and say, it's not like we're an HOA. We don't come in and say your building doesn't match our style, because that relationship would never work.
Right.
The way we approach it is creating relationships with the building owners and letting them know what resources we have available to us to help them find whatever they would like. Of course, there are some buildings downtown that are owned by people who don't live here, or they're owned by people who have interests elsewhere and are not currently interested in renovating. But then we also have buildings downtown, like Alan Brown owns the Bank of America building, the one that formerly held the Bank of America.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he just redid the facade on it, and it looks beautiful. And he, just as a downtown building owner, he chose to renovate that in a way that is historically accurate and flows with the downtown. And I think there's an overarching sentiment around town that, if you're going to do something downtown, you're going to make it look nice. And what looks nice down there is sort of matching the style.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's great. I like the idea of keeping things with the look, but making it look nice.
But with actual like nice windows.
No, I think that's right. I'm looking forward to, I am a Bank of America user. I'm not proud of that because they want nothing to do with the Yamhill County, but I'm working on switching.
Yeah.
Anyway, glad that.
Get over to a credit union. Yeah. Come on.
Or First Federal. They do a lot of donations.
First Federal is wonderful. They're very generous in this town.
Okay. So I know you mentioned there's the cleanup happening.
Yeah.
There's every first Friday except for 4th of July week.
4th of July in January.
January. Okay. So the rest of the 10 months, rain or shine.
Yep, rain or shine. There's First Friday where businesses downtown typically stay open a little bit later. They often host an artist and then also frequently host a winery or some sort of beverage purveyor to, share tastings and things like that.
Yeah.
First Friday has been a system that has kind of run itself for a while. It's another project that is a zero budget volunteer-led endeavor. But that merchant group that I was mentioning is planning on sort of getting together and reviving that and seeing what can be done. I think we were all just so excited coming out of COVID to have something back up and running. So now that we've been doing it for a while again, we're ready to kind of reinvigorate it and see if there's things we can add to it or subtract from it to sort of enhance the system. I think also, it's hard to get out and walk around Newberg in February in the dark, in the rain. And we're all just looking forward to spring and summer here.
Yeah. I'd be really interested to see if there was, again, there's a lot. I think people underestimate how much goes into any big project.
Yes.
Like you can't just say, oh, well, if someone would do this, like, hey, it takes a lot.
Takes a lot.
But would it be really interesting to see if there was, like, to have more places that were indoors where people could go and there could be events or music, and go and maybe stay for 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Because walking from place to place can be a lot.
Yeah.
But obviously I know to do that and coordinate that. So I'm sure if everyone's meeting together and finding ways, like I was thinking of the Culture Center, like, is there anything that happens there on First Fridays?
Not currently that I'm aware of. I mean, they often have their own sort of schedule of events, and they have a spring concert series, and Chamber has been hosting their vaudeville things up there, but not that is directly tied to First Friday.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's something like in the lobby.
Yeah, there are out there.
There's like a interesting, but anyway, kind of beside the point.
When it's August and the weather's delightful, then on a Friday night, absolutely, I'm going to walk up there and go through their gallery, and then I'm going to walk downtown.
I was thinking if there's if they had music in there or food, people, if they owned it enough. But
it sounds like you're really interested in joining our subcommittee on our spread. I'd love to invite you.
I've been in, I have to have like a hard limit of because I would do this and all the other things full time, but then I have this other weird business that I have to run called real estate.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. But I know very much how there is. I'm first showing me up. Here's wanting to just, if you just keep saying yes to things,
then you'll either go crazy or you'll love it.
But listen, no, truly, I think what I've learned as a business owner and through NDC is that if we don't show up in rooms, then it's the same people forever. And,
say that.
If we don't, we being these young-ish professionals here in Newberg, if we don't, we can sit at home with our thoughts all we want. But we've got to get out there and it's going to be on us in 20, 30 years, right?
I could just be an armchair expert, though, but my podcast.
You could be, or you could grab a broom and a rake and join me downtown to clean up on May 7th. I mean, it's exhausting. And I think that it's easy to get bogged down in, there's so much to do and there's so much that I want to see changed. And I feel that way about NDC sometimes. Gosh, I would love for downtown Newberg to be super walkable and have some, more trees and more art and whatnot. But we've really got to work, one project at a time, learn the system of the city of Newberg and how it works.
Yeah.
And then once you start to see maybe one project get pulled off, then it just feels incredible. And you're like, all right, let's do the next. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that I know you mentioned briefly at the beginning, but I was curious, how did you actually end up getting the role? The previous executive director stepped down and how did you?
Yeah. I have a background in teaching. I'm an educator. I taught at a K through 8 school for 15 years. And during that time, we also purchased Honey Pie Pizza and, really started embedding ourselves in downtown Newberg and learning about everything going on in the city and everything that interests us and thrills us and that we want to be a part of. And ultimately, I was invited to be on the board of NDC to serve as a board member.
Okay. Just
as a downtown business representative. So I served in that capacity for a while, and then over the summer, I decided to take a break from education and just I was commuting 2 hours a day for my teaching.
Oh my gosh, where were you?
I was in Lake Oswego, so it was an hour there in the morning and an hour home. And I have 2 young kids. So
that's not fun.
Yeah, it was just a lot. It was, it was a time that I decided, my family and I decided, let's take a break from that. And it was going to be my gap year, we called it, where I was going to not do a whole lot. And here I am.
I feel like Sarah said the same thing. I'm just going to not do what...
Not take a little break.
I'm like...
I lasted about 5 weeks. before I had signed up to substitute in Newberg School District. And this executive director position was sort of floated to me as
Just kind of floated along.
just floated along. And I thought, you know what, I am volunteering for all this stuff anyway. I may as well just make it my job. So dove right in. Very lucky to have council member Molly Olson, who's on our board, who was our previous executive director 2 executive directors ago. So she has a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Rob Felton, who's at George Fox University, has also been on our board. He's a previous board president. So I have great leaders who have been able to guide me and, you know, really give direction to this job. And honestly, you know, I taught middle school for a very long time. That's a lot of organizing humans and getting them to, you know, show up and do what you need them to do. And turns out working with adults is pretty much the same.
You're well prepared.
I am.
Well, I appreciate you stepping in and doing what you do. I don't know, obviously, the full extent. I'm sure it's kind of great. I mean, what does a day look like for you?
It's, multifaceted. There's there's a fair bit of just, you know, your email and spreadsheets and things like that, you know, just keeping the wheels on the bus and making sure the budget's on point.
Sure they go around
for it. Yep. My favorite part is just the business support. This morning I got to have coffee with a local who is interested in starting a new business in downtown Newberg. And so I got to just speak with her and kind of walk her through, you know, here's what a permitting process may look like.
Yeah.
Or, you know, she was asking, are there other businesses that are in this category, or is this a hole to be filled? Sort of just being a resource for people who want to do business here. I also spend a lot of time going to, you know, collaborating with Chamber, going to their meetings, collaborating with Taste Newberg. Right now, CPRD and NDC are getting ready for Wednesday Market. So that starts on May 3rd.
Okay.
Which is,
I didn't realize CPRD was...
Yep, CPRD shares the market duties with us.
Okay, so that's not City of Newberg. That's...
Nope.
So everyone kind of divvies out the different things.
Yep. So a lot of that collaboration and kind of keeping all the projects running concurrently and making sure that we're going in the right direction. And then lately, planning our downtown cleanup day and recruiting volunteers for that, which I'm sure that you can put our link for volunteers in whatever materials, however this appears out.
Well, that would be the next question too, is what are some ways that people can get involved? Sounds like volunteers are always...
We love a volunteer. We love a volunteer, not only for cleanup days, but also for things like this merchant group and the First Friday sort of subcommittee that's being formed right now to revamp that. I know there's some...
so there's a committee being...
Yep.
Okay. So how does it work right now? Like everyone just kind of did their own thing?
Yeah, we have basically just sort of the resource of, hey, do you need an artist? Here's a bunch of artists. Hey, do you need a winery? Here's a bunch of wineries. And most of the people that have been participating in First Friday have been doing it for a long time. So they're able to sort of just jump in. Anybody in that downtown area can participate in First Friday.
Okay.
But yeah, we have volunteers coming up for our cleanup day. And we like to do a cleanup day in the fall and then another one in the spring. The city does not power wash the sidewalks. It's just not something that they do. Sidewalks technically belong to each building that fronts them. So it would be very hard to get 50 plus businesses to all coordinate the same cleaning schedule, things like that. So one of the things that we do for NDC is to serve our businesses in our area and clean up their sidewalks. So I have volunteers signing up for sort of 90-minute shifts, and we will do on a Sunday morning, just so downtown's a little bit more quiet and closed and we're not disrupting the whole day. We will do, you know, just your general garbage and debris cleanup. We will use leaf blowers and push brooms to clean off the sidewalks and get them all ready to go. And then we'll come through with power washers. So we're going to be out there, rain or shine. But I actually attended city council last night and invited our city council members and our mayor and our city staff to participate. I already have most of them all signed up. So
very nice.
Yeah, really, I mean, a good opportunity for just people in town to show up and sort of do a group project together and clean up downtown, because the south side of the sidewalks get pretty grimy during the winter. They don't get a lot of sunshine.
Oh, because they're covered up by...
They're shaded.
They're on the south side, but they're on the north side of the building.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So they get, especially right there on First Street, you know, right out front of like Critter Cabana, and then down toward like Little Bird and O&I Care. It's so shady.
Yeah.
And then even up by Naps, it's very shady. And those sidewalks are slippery right now. It's not pretty. So we're going to clean that up. But other ways, we love to just meet people that are interested in downtown Newberg. I think some people forget that while it is a ton of different businesses, we have one identity, which is this historic district. And we do have so many people here who are interested in supporting downtown and continuing to make downtown the kind of place we want to walk around our families with, So the Wednesday markets, we're there. We have an information booth every week. Love to meet people. I love to hear people's opinions. Sometimes they're pretty wild, but I love it. I did once get to sit with someone who proposed a cat ban for City of Newberg, which was new to me.
Cats? Like no cats?
No cats. I could not support that one in any sort of professional capacity, but...
Yeah. So a cat gets a citation if it...
Yes. But part of this job is listening to ideas. So I said, thank you for that. We will circle back on the cats someday.
And pet my cat and cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. How dare you?
Yep. So, but yeah, we'd love to have, I'm a more voices the better kind of lady,
What's a great way to just get involved in any of those committees and start getting a feel for who's actually involved with Chamber and Tastenberg and NDC? There's a lot of really awesome people that...
I think right now the easiest way to kind of track what everyone's doing, for better or worse, is on social media. The three entities have a good Instagram presence, being NDC, Taste, and Chamber. City of Newberg doesn't love Instagram, and that's okay. We support them anyway. They're more Facebook
personas like me.
Yes.
I just got to figure out how to get videos better on, because a lot of what I do on YouTube, it doesn't link well to Instagram.
We'll get you there.
Get me there, yeah.
I can get you there. Absolutely. We'll find you a friendly and knowledgeable 14-year-old. They can really get you there.
Maybe somebody in pros.
Yep, a young pro.
A younger young pro.
As
long as that, I'm not ready for TikTok though.
No. They don't need us on TikTok. They'll just make fun of us if we're on TikTok. No. I think that there's a lot of enthusiasm in Newberg right now, but there's also a lot of hesitancy because it can seem overwhelming to, try to figure out what group do I want to be a part of, or where do I want to invest what little time I have, and I would, anybody who's interested in being involved in something in Newberg, I would say reach out to any of us, being Taste, NDC, Chamber, or City of Newberg. By and large, we're going to say, hey, let's meet for coffee. And then you can tell me what lights your soul on fire, and I will find a project that will, and it might not be with NDC.
Yeah.
But I will say, hey, I know that this is happening at the city, and they would love to have more citizens on that committee. Or, Chamber is doing this event, and they have this opportunity. I think you should hook up with them. I think the more all of us are in contact and aware of what each entity is doing, the better we can connect our community and make people feel like they can really make a difference with their, you may only have 2-3 hours a week that you could volunteer to something. You may only have 5 hours a whole month that you could commit to do something.
Yeah.
But there are needs to be met here, and there are ways to, I think, feel like you have an impact on your town, and that's turns out a really good feeling.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you so much, Aubrey. It's been fun learning. It's been a fun episode.
I've had a great time.
Well, one of the last questions I have, given obviously your role with NDC and Honey Pie and all the different things you do, what gives you hope for the future of Newberg?
Oh, man. That's a good question. I like that. I am actually very hopeful for the city of Newberg. I think that we have a lot of people who are showing interest in learning about how cities work for probably the first time in their lives. And those people, I think, are kind of in my age group and yours. Just we've got young kids. We're committed to living here. We know we want to raise our families here, and we want it to be just the best town that it can be. And I think we've got some good momentum right now with new energy and new people coming in, and I go to the city council and there's people there that are watching and learning and that feeling of civic engagement, not being only showing up when there are problems or only showing up when I'm really mad about something, but just this feeling of people want to be in the know and they want to understand, and that seeking to understand, I think is just good, is what is going to, carry us into the future. We've got good things coming on the horizon. And also, nothing fills one's soul with hope like the promise of spring and summer. We are in the dreary end of winter right now.
But at least it's 50s and rainy instead of like high 30s and rainy.
Yeah. Last night at soccer practice, it felt like winter. Oh, it was pelting.
Yeah. But, I think that desire to understand, and I people talk about the like political divide and stuff, but I think what a really good thing coming from that is people aren't stuck on their own ideologies anymore. They have to reach out to people who disagree and say, okay, I need to at least learn why people think that way.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting to me. Also, like what you talked about with the stable table, those 4 groups and having new leadership. And honestly, I can't say enough good things about Woolworthy. And like
a powerhouse of a human.
And given our history of like city leadership, or I guess I should say specifically with the city manager, like it's just such a breath of fresh air, like his wisdom and leadership, and then having like other energy part of that. I think it's really a unique time.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of hope for those same reasons. So
I do too. Will does a city manager report at each city council meeting where he summarizes whatever has gone on in the city in the preceding weeks. And it is truly the clearest, most concise, and entertaining in his own little way. Yeah. It's the best way to learn about our city. I truly think it is. And those are
able to watch them.
They are, yeah.
They are. 7 p.m. is tough for me when that's bedtime for the kiddos.
I know, I get it. But yeah, they're live streamed and then they're archived on the city YouTube. But I think the city manager report is a fascinating piece that Will has just done in his work, and he now has he's a data guy, so he has a year of data to look back on. That process alone has taught me tons.
Is that its own thing, or is it all just part of the
city council meeting?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk to him, see if we can do something. That's pretty cool. I didn't know about that. So, well, thank you, Aubrey, so much. And thank you for everyone who listened to this. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did, but I doubt you did because we had a lot of fun. So, all right. Well, thanks, Aubrey.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Givingtown podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with a friend who you think might benefit from hearing it. While more and more people are continuing to hear about this podcast, I still need your help to spread the message about all the people and organizations that make Newberg so great. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode.